Hey James, how are you?
Good, good. Good to be here.
I'm glad to have you. Well, I just want to give a little introduction. My name is Kim Ross-Hollingsworth, and I'm the founder of the Arts and Authors Extravaganza and Book Builders Academy, where we provide a platform for authors and artists to showcase and sell their work. Also, we teach new and current authors how to write, publish, and market their books. And tonight, with Arts and Authors Talk, we have James C. Ellerbe joining us. And I just want to thank you for coming on, James, and just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Welcome.
Thank you. Once again, my name is James C. Ellerbe. I'm a spoken word recording artist, author, and entrepreneur. And I'm also the owner of my own business, Not Enough Words LLC. And I launched my first book of poetry in 2015, Beyond the Event Horizon, and as well as my first spoken word album on 2018. And I facilitate workshops on poetry, self publishing, and I'm also the co host of When People Speak with my partner host, Amira Shabazz Bilal. And
Yes,
that's the last Thursdays of every month at 7 p.m. live on Facebook. So that's
love
a little.
her. I just actually met her, James,
Wow.
uh, for the very first time at Raymond Tyler's event at the Arts Garage in AC. Oh my
Yes.
God, that woman is phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Phenomenal.
She's a beautiful soul. Yeah.
Yes.
Very talented herself too as well.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. And she brought like maybe four or five other ladies with her that recited poetry as well.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get out there to see some of your events because you host something, I believe, like every weekend.
Not everyone.
Every, it seems like it.
Yeah.
You be busier than I do. I'm like, jeez.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you are a very talented individual. I just want to give it to you. I mean, the moment I met you, and that was at how many years ago?
Whew.
Maybe, when was the first time you came to the Arts and Authors extravaganza? It was you and Mr. B.
Mr. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
And that was the first time I met Alec and Andrew as well.
right, right. Yeah, that had to have been either 2019, I think. I know it
Uh,
was like because we
or
I kn-
2018, if I'm not
maybe
mistaken.
2018. Yeah, it might have been 2018. Yeah, because I know it was like right when I first launched my album, so it was close. I know that. Yeah,
Yes.
so you might be right. It might be 2018.
Well,
Yeah.
I can't wait because I know we're in for a treat because I absolutely need for you to recite some of your poetry. Because for our listeners out there, which I have to specify, we are on Anchor, Spotify, Google Play. We're on YouTube, uh, and of course, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. So I want everyone then to know that you are a part of the Arts and Authors Extravaganza because you are great. And once they hear some of your work, they're going to know why we keep you around.
You're putting a lot of pressure on me.
I can put all the pressure on you because you are great, and I can't wait to hear some of the stuff that you came up with because you come out with some poetry
Mm,
that and even when I go to Raymond's event and I hear some of the poetry that you recite, it's like you're a very knowledgeable guy as well.
mm. Appreciate that. Yeah.
And some of us need to hear what you have to say. So I'm interested in hearing, more about you. And, when we are at the events, like I tell so many people, I don't get a chance to go around to everyone. I don't get a chance to meet you all or dig deeper into what you do and why you even got started, or what keeps you motivated to keep going. So that's the reason why I have these podcasts, so that I can learn a little bit more about you, as well as some of the listeners that may be interested in finding out more about what you do as well. So, can you tell me how you got started doing what you do?
Yeah, definitely. The crazy part is I have a very interesting background. Um, I never really liked poetry in the beginning, like when I was growing up in high school, because, a lot of times you had to do it for an assignment or something like that.
Hmm.
And so I never like appreciated the beauty of what poetry is, until I realized that I was writing it all along. I would just like write down my thoughts on paper because I was going through a lot as a young black man,
Hmm.
and trying to discover himself. And I would have these constant papers and composition books of just, to me, my thoughts. It was kind of like writing a diary.
Yes.
Um, but all along that was poetry. And
Hmm.
because I didn't see myself in the vein of like a Nikki Giovanni, or Maya Angelou, Paul Ernst Dunbar, a Mary Baraka, like some of the greats
Yes.
in poetry. But it wasn't until later that I discovered that it's not about their voices. It's my voice and what I want to contribute to poetry, and what I want to what I want to say, my thoughts and my feelings, what I want to say.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. That's what makes you a poet.
Exactly.
So,
Well, I felt the same way. Exactly what you're saying. Um, some poetry I don't understand, and
mm-hmm.
then there's because sometimes poetry can get a little deep,
Yeah.
and it confuses me sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
like you were saying, sometimes what we don't know can do that to us.
Right. Right. Indeed. Indeed. Well,
And well, what you were saying about the poetry, even the more that the older I get, the more I'm understanding
mm-hmm.
some
Mm-hmm.
of the poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And there's different types of poetry that people write,
Right.
and that's something that I wasn't aware of, as either, like, for a long time. But I'm starting to understand it. I'm loving every bit of it, especially the poetry that the sisters, they came out to perform. Oh my
Indeed.
goodness. And relationships, like some of the poetry that was referred to from relationships, that
Mm-hmm.
really struck home.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's why I believe that I'm starting to like it a lot more, because it's starting to pertain to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the I think that's the ultimate challenge for every poet, is to first of all understand their audience.
Hmm.
Um, and I think a reason why it can become a little confusing is because that might not have been the audience,
Hmm.
at the time that the poet was trying to convey to.
Hmm.
I have to learn that as I go to different places and I perform. I have to be mindful of my audience. You know, if it's like because there's a lot of science every now and then in my poetry in
Hmm.
some shape or form. um, I might not want to do that at a certain event.
Right.
I might want to do more relationship poems, or things that can connect to my audience a little
Exactly.
more. So That's always been like the challenge of poetry, is understanding your audience and making sure, you're conveying exactly what you're trying to convey.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. That makes sense. Because just like you said, if you don't know your audience, it's like you can't resonate with them. You
Right.
can't you know, and I believe you have to do it on a more of an emotional level.
Right. Right. Right.
And that's what it means when you're connecting with your audience.
Right.
And
Indeed.
and it struck me hard when I didn't even believe, well, at one time I just didn't believe that I even liked poetry because of the reason why I couldn't understand it. But
Hmm.
when those ladies started reciting their poetry and everything, and it struck home, it's like I found a new liking
Right.
for poetry, and now I want to, research it even further.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just something.
Yeah. It's a very beautiful art form. It's a very powerful art form, and I think that the more that a poet um, takes that step to try to convey some of the parts of themselves,
Hmm.
the genuine parts of themselves, the more that a person can identify with it and connect with it.
It's so true.
Because the reason why I bring that up is because my earlier writings was more, um, it was more, uh, I actually was more emotional then than I am now. So it's now like I have to, because as you get older, you learn more, you experience more, your perception is a little bit more fine-tuned than more emotional, but you still need the emotional part to create that connection like you brought up. So I gotta you gotta find that equal balance between emotional and introspection, and and thought-provoking poetry, and marriage them together in order to get across to your audience properly. Yeah. Uh,
Yes.
uh, mhm.
Well, I'm getting ready to plug this laptop in real quick. So,
Okay.
but I just want to know. Hold on one second.
No problem.
I just want to know. Now you told us how you got started.
Hmm.
What? Now you started out. Did you start out writing books, or did you start out doing the poetry?
Doing Yeah, writing poetry. Um, I actually, it's funny that you mentioned that, because within my actual book, there's an excerpt um, from my diary that mentions that one of my greatest aspirations at the time was to write a book and produce a book. And I reconnected with that old goal, um, going on going on maybe 30 years later,
Wow.
and actually achieved that. But you know, because somewhere along the way, I let fear, I let some challenges prevent me from actually accomplishing that.
Mm.
And that's like, I want to share this with your audience. Fear sometimes can be your greatest adversary.
Yes, it
It
can.
can come in between your dreams, your goals, your aspirations. So it's good to have a healthy amount of fear to
Hmm.
keep you humble,
Yes.
but not where it stagnates you, not where it gets in the way of you know what you want to do, what your passion is inside you. And I let that you know uh, take a hold of me then. And it wasn't until like 30 years later that I actually produced my first book. So yeah.
Well, I get it. I get it. I let fear, take over me like several times, especially with my events, and
Yeah.
um, not being able to speak on the mic, or
Mm,
or it just seemed like every time when I touched that microphone, it just scared me like half to death. Like, I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
And, after COVID, I decided I need to stop being afraid.
Yeah.
There's too many people leaving this earth with their dreams and aspirations inside them.
Mm.
I do not want that to happen to me.
Mm.
So my thing is either you want to hear it or you don't. I'm not going to be afraid to get up there and do anything that I need to do anymore. Things took a turn for the better when we were stuck in our houses in 2020.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did this podcast, I was all afraid of, starting it and, you know, just getting on here, get going live and stuff like that. But you have to do it afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You have to do it
Yeah.
afraid, but you must do it. And
Right.
that's why I'm doing it. I'm learning as I go. uh as you can see, I get some people, their criticisms. I like constructive criticism and I take constructive criticism. Even with the events, the arts and authors, when you all come in, I tell you, tell me how we can do this thing better.
Right.
you
Right.
know I'm just trying to get it done. I'm just trying to let others, come out and showcase their work. And when you guys get up there and start reciting poetry, when you do your like I have singers, I even have you come up and talk about your work. When you all come up and do that, some people shy away and they're like, I don't want to get up there. But you have to realize, if you don't tell, you can tell your story better than anybody else.
It's true. Mm.
So people need to stop being afraid and start doing what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I applaud you for, reciting your poetry and also, hosting your podcast, because I'm learning from you. So tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Wow. That was a. Well, first, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
But yeah, the creation of When People Speak came from actually Amira's show, who you talked about earlier, When Women Speak, and she created a platform um, exclusively for women poets to express themselves, women artists to express themselves in a safe environment where they might not have, felt safe in a more open environment. And it has been just really achieving some great strides in our community. And I mean, it's to the point now where it's even touring. Um, but one day, this was at the height of when a lot of the um, the shootings were happening of unarmed black people um, by police. And we were talking one day, and she said there needs to be a space where we can kind of talk about some of these issues, um, or a platform that where we can talk about these issues as poets
Yes.
um, in this virtual environment. Um, because during this time, a lot of the venues were shut down due to COVID, and it's like we didn't have that platform to go to express our um, uh, some of the things that we were seeing and experiencing in society.
Yes.
So she was like, why don't we create a When People Speak
Mm.
and open it up to both men and women? And that's how the show came about, and it's been a beautiful ride. We had some very phenomenal poets, and it's really catching on, and we have some opportunities coming up. I can't really get into it right now because we gotta sign the
Work out the kinks.
sign, yeah, right, but it has some things on the horizon that I look forward to, and spreading the show a little bit further too as well. But
Well, I
yeah,
can't wait because I I actually saw the show a couple of times, and some of the people that you have on, that's what I have to get into. You find the most interesting people. And
Hmm.
I wondered sometimes, like, how does he find all these people? How do you find all these events? Like, do you advertise for them? Or tell us a little bit about that. Because when you look on your social media handles and you
Mhm.
see all the different people that you come across, it's amazing. It really is. I
The,
thought I came across some people, but I mean, you take the cake.
well, I like to tell people part of it is because well, both Amir and myself, we combine our forces and we develop the roster of poets that come on the show. Not just poets, artists too,
Yeah.
because we had visual artists as well as musicians and musical artists on
Yes,
our
you
show
do.
as well. But we're both a lover of what we do. We are fans of poetry. We are fans of art. So we have our favorites that inspire us, and new people that we see on the scene, and we just reach out and say, come be a part of our show. Come have the freedom to express yourself.
Right.
On our platform, and that's how we do it. Really, it's a lot of it is people that we actually know and we have relationships with, and we just tell them, come on, come on the show, be a part of the show. Yeah.
Yes. Now, are you? Do you do mainly all of your events up like North Jersey, or do you, uh, you know, do some in South Jersey? I know I've seen you like some of your shows, but most of your shows, I believe, are in North Jersey. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, for the most part, I am starting to spread out more in South Jersey. I was in Central Jersey for quite a few years too as well, but I'm originally from North Jersey, so that's where
Oh,
a lot
okay.
of the connections come from.
Yes.
Um, Most people think I live in Newark, because I'm a feature in the Newark community,
Mhm.
and but they honestly have raised and cultivated my art. I wouldn't have known anything about spoken word if it
Mhm.
wasn't for Newark. So
Yeah.
that's where how I got into spoken word and performing was I came across a flyer when I was shopping in downtown Newark, and it had a venue there. And I said, this is something that I've been looking for, just something different. And I went, and it just changed my life from that point on. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, but
Now,
yeah,
you write like you. What is the name of your first book? Do you have
yeah.
or
My book. Yeah, I only have one poetry
you have the
book.
book? Okay.
Yeah. The poetry book is Beyond the Event Horizon,
Okay.
and that's a mixture of. It's like a poetic memoir. It's my love for science, and I give a little. You talked about earlier how you always want to know a little bit more, like what inspired that poet or that writer. That's what I give in this book. So you just don't get just the poetry and then you can interpret it yourself.
Yeah.
I actually give you a lot of that background information of what was going on with me at the time when I was writing the pieces,
Hmm.
because I always wanted to know that. When I started really getting into poetry, I wanted to know a little bit more about this writer, and and so that's Beyond the Event Horizon. And then I released my spoken word album, which is called Pulsar, also dealing with the scientific theme. A pulsar is a neutron star that collapses. You think of like how a black hole is created, it collapses within itself.
Hmm.
Well, if it doesn't have enough force or enough, gravitational force,
Hmm.
it turns into a neutron star and it starts to spin. And when it spins, it gives off a radio wave. And each pulsar has its distinct, radio wave.
Wow.
And so, like my album, each track on the album, each poem on the album has its distinct identity. And it's the music has a mixture of hip hop, R&B, jazz, and even roots reggae on it. So it's a little something for everybody on the album. So
I
that's
actually have
what
that album. I think I got it from you when you were at Raymond's
Mhm.
event over at Lisa's, what is
Mhm.
it, the Quirky Turkey.
Yeah, the quirky. Yeah, yeah.
That's when I got that album. And while we're talking about that, can you just recite something from it?
Sure. Something from the album. Okay,
Yes,
let's
from
see.
the album.
Let's see. From the album. Hmm. Let's see. What's
And I know I'm sorry for putting you on the spot.
No, 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 no. It's okay. It's
You know
okay.
I was
Oh,
going to do it.
here we go. You'll like this one. You'll like this one. You've heard it before.
Okay.
Um, we are superheroes. We are superheroes. So let no one steal your cape. Let there be no mistake. You have superpowers. You can soar above pain like the Falcon. You can punch holes in fears like Luke Cage. And no matter what people may say, the bulk of your power is inside you. It wasn't manufactured in a lab. You're not a mutation. You're a physical manifestation of something glorious, something majestic. You too can control storms like Storm. You were born beautiful, powerful, gifted, uplift your soul. Your neighborhoods are your Wakanda, and you are Black Panther. So save your fellow Avengers. Your name is Isaiah Bradley, the first Captain America. Like you were the first to create civilization, one of God's greatest creations on this earth. So take back your birthright, Esau. Climb, claw, fly your way out of the abyss. Assist anyone in despair. Dare to be incredible. Dare to be fearless, lest you be defeated by your own weakness. Secure your secret identity. The world doesn't need to see. Sometimes great things are done in secrecy. But most importantly, never give up. Tired of injustice, then decide enough is enough. Turn words into actions, dreams into goals. Hold yourself accountable, for the world needs you. Evil never sleeps. It wreaks havoc, disenfranchised lives, and will always live in a lie. Be the proof in truth. Be bulletproof. Be someone's lifesaver. Let no one steal your cape. Make every day an adventure. Venture to uncharted places. Pace yourself. Don't exhaust all your powers in one time. Even Jesus had to recharge.
Mm.
Be larger than life, like being the source of change. Put on your game face. For the race is not for the swift, but for the one that endures to the end. You too will bend spoons with your mind. Combined with like-minded forces, you got a course to your destiny. Believe you can. Believe you must. Trust in your maker. For who's going to show her that her life is worth more than a reality TV show contract? Who's going to show him a gang? There's no place to find a father figure. Your purpose is bigger than you. Your superpowers are not meant for you. They're meant for your family, your neighborhood, your community. For everyone wants to be super. Everyone wants to be special. But be the change. Be the difference. Be superheroes For God's sakes, just be. Thank you.
That is so great. And yes, I did hear that one. That's the one you recited at the Arts and Authors um in 2018.
Yeah.
I love that. Love it. And we do need to be we need to use our superpowers. We really
Indeed.
do.
Indeed. Indeed.
And I have a question for you.
Sure.
Um Now do you plan on writing anymore?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm actually working on a joint poetry book. Um, I'm excited about this one because it's I'm trying to give as little as possible because this poet that I'm working with, his first, not first, he's been writing longer than me, but he comes out with his new book in April.
Okay.
And this is going to be like a second part to that book, but it's going to tackle racism from two different perspectives. That's all I can say.
Yes.
But I'm having it's exciting about this project because it's, to me, I think it's bigger than both of us.
Right.
But and then I pretty much have done the second full volume of poetry book, but I'm going to wait obviously until this project comes out, and then I'll launch that. So give me some time to kind of tweak it up, and if I can add a little more pieces in it, it gives me that freedom. But and then after that, I'm actually currently working on a children's book, turning We Are Superheroes into a children's book for children.
Ooh, nice.
Because it was encouraged by Big Mike, Mr. B.
Yes.
He said you gotta turn this into a children's book, because they can use a lot of the messaging that is in the poem. So
I agree.
Yeah. So I have plans. I also I started writing two novels, two fiction novels. Okay. One is a sci-fi, and one is a romance, inspirational novel. I wrote the first chapter to both, and my wife was like, "You got to finish these. You got to finish. You got to finish these." So I that's what I have planned as far as writing coming up. Yeah.
That's nice. Now you also teach people how to write books.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that, because Book Builders Academy, we teach people how to write books, and just like I tell people all the time, there's no competition with us.
No, absolutely
There's no competition. There's so many of us out there, especially authors, that are teaching people what we know.
Right. Indeed.
Because everyone has a story.
Absolutely.
And you can't get enough of it. Because we can't do it all. We can't do it all by ourselves anyway.
Exactly.
There's too many people out there that want to do what we do.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about how you do it.
Yeah. Well, how I came about doing it in the first place was along the way, even through my process, there were a lot of mistakes that I made.
Yes.
And through that, it helped me become a better writer. It helped me know exactly the elements that I need in self-publishing a book. And I kind of wanted to help my community avoid a lot of those mistakes and have a better experience that I had starting out. So that's how I came about doing it. And the more I started doing workshops, started doing, excuse me, more just with people I know,
Yeah.
and I found out through that process that there's a lot of we were talking about fear. There's a
Yeah.
lot of fear that is preventing a lot of people from coming out with their story.
It's so true.
And if they had that information up front, I think it would alleviate a lot of the fears that they had.
It really
So,
will.
that's how I, started doing these workshops, and it just kept, I started adding on to it, and I found that, um, because people see me on social media, and they're like, "How do you do all this stuff? How do you, put your stuff out there like that on social
Yeah.
media?" And every time I turn around, you're at this place, that place, that place,
That's
and
right.
it's a lot of it is just learning certain tricks, learning certain skills on social media
Mhm.
that gets yourself out there. You don't have to be like a super graphic designer to do a lot of this stuff. There's many tools out there that you can use, in order to present your art or present your project out there in a way that's attractive, to people, and gets other patrons of your work.
Oh,
Um, so that's how that came about, and so we definitely got to link up forces,
yes.
as far as that as well, because there are a lot of people, as you know, that have a book inside them, but
Right.
they have no clue of where
How
to
to
go,
get it out
where to
there.
start, you
Yeah.
know. And there's a misconception. Even I had this misconception, which got in the way initially of me producing my self-published book,
Hmm.
was that the cost is astronomical.
Yes.
The cost is really not astronomical. There's a cost to it, but
Exactly.
it's not astronomical.
Yep.
Um, and this is the kind of information that people need in order
Yes.
to get their own story out there. So,
Especially, because we are self-publishers. So
hmm
we, a lot of people, they like you said, they're under the impression that, these books are very difficult to get out. Um,
hmm
and that's because they don't have the knowledge.
right,
And
right,
that's what I like about us is we're teaching people how to get their books out there without in an affordable way. We're not
hmm
trying to, rip them off or become vanity printers or something like that. We don't we show them how to get it done and we leave them there. They ask us
exactly,
questions, but we don't need to be the middleman.
right, absolutely, absolutely, yeah,
Once we show them what we know, then they're able to, retain all the royalties
Mhm.
and print their own books and stuff like that. They don't have to come to us to get any of their books or anything like that. And that's the benefit that I like to teach. And that's
yeah,
what why I like to, get so many people to work with me because I show you how to fish and then let you go.
yeah,
Not
yeah,
that you can't come back and ask questions because I'm going to answer your questions for you.
mhm,
But, you know, I don't want, once I'm through with you, you're going to know everything that you need to know
exactly,
to get
yeah,
these books produced.
yeah, yeah. One, I just had a recent, um, I like to say one of my students that one of the youngest to actually self-publish. She's a teenager and
Oh,
self-published her book. That was just so fulfilling, knowing that you know that was my work that helped
yes.
get that book, that new author, you know um, to completion. Get her book to completion, and as as young as I think she's 13. Yeah,
Wow.
13. So that was like, I helped adults, but to actually help a
Yeah.
teenager, um,
It's a
self.
good feeling. It really is.
Yeah.
And I am actually I was supposed to be working with Levon Howard, and I know we're still going to do this. We're still going to do this. We want to have an arts and authors youth.
Mm,
So we want to have the extravaganza strictly for children.
yeah.
Um, and I mean, we have the arts and authors for the adults, and children can attend, and they
Right.
can also present their work. But when you have something that's strictly geared towards kids you know and teenagers that are writing books and have their artwork, that's on a whole another level.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to doing that.
That's gonna be awesome. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
so important
it
because
is.
you know how are we, um, preparing our youth
That's
for
right.
the world that is out there today. You
Yeah,
know, and they can possess it now, even at the age that they're at, and
it's so
God
true.
knows where where they'll be in the future. But if we're
Exactly.
starting that early, we're putting that early into kids, like
Yes,
it's mind blowing. What they can achieve.
it really is. Now, my daughter, my 17-year-old, she's actually a senior in high school, and she's getting ready to graduate this year.
Hmm.
It took her up until, I believe, like maybe 6 years ago, about I would say like maybe 4 to 5 years ago,
Hmm.
before she even started coming out to the arts and authors. She didn't want to showcase her work. And
Mm.
my daughter is oh my God, when I tell you this girl can draw, and you've seen it, you've
Yeah,
seen her
yeah,
work,
very talented. Yeah, very
she
talented.
can really draw. And now she's getting ready to go to Rutgers Camden, and
Wow,
yes, and she's going to pursue her art.
beautiful.
They're the only location that have the art program that she's really interested in. At
Hmm.
first, I was kind of skeptical. I was like, Gianna, you need to go to Rutgers, New Brunswick. And she was like, well, they don't have my program that I'm interested in. So Camden has it. So that's where she
Mm.
want to go. So she's
Beautiful.
going. But these kids, like you said, you have to, if that's something that they want to do, we have to encourage it. We have to stick by them. And I know this little girl gonna go far. She's gonna go far. But I just can't wait for her to be the lead when we do the arts and authors kids, for the youth, because these kids are really, really talented nowadays.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
think
so
we all
advanced.
have talent, but oh my goodness, they're smart. They have a lot more. I guess they have a lot more means that and things that they can do now that we didn't have. The opportunities they have now that we didn't have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then of course they have us that we can,
Mhm.
teach them even more and lead them on. So I appreciate what you're doing. And you are a teacher, right?
No, no, no. I'm not even a teacher.
What
Yeah.
are you? Because I know Mr. B was a teacher.
Yes, he's a teacher. Yeah, I work. Well, currently I work for a gaming department, or gaming company rather, in their fraud department. So I'm very, technical, but in the aspect of detecting fraud and stuff like that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So
Well, that's interesting, and that's another thing she liked to do. She's a gamer, and uh, she create her characters.
mhm.
So one interesting thing about that I really, you know, I didn't understand at first, but
Mhm.
she creates the characters, and my husband makes the characters for her,
Mm. Got-
and it's because he does the 3D prints.
right, right. Oh
So
wow, wow,
yes, so
that's awesome.
they were connecting, and I believe last year was the first year that he actually attended with his 3D prints. And I
Mm.
don't know if you walked around to his table, but he had the mask and
Oh, I didn't realize. Oh,
Dream.
wow.
So,
Wow. Okay.
so maybe, just maybe, once you create that children's book, we can
Mm.
create the characters for you.
Oh, definitely. That would be awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that definitely.
I gotta keep my husband in the loop, just a little bit.
That would be awesome. Yeah, just
Yes,
to see it, come to life, in physical form. Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's right. So we're going to do some good things together. We
Indeed.
really are. And what would you tell aspiring authors? What advice would you give them?
Hmm. Do your homework.
Well,
Definitely do your homework. And what I mean by that is, um, whatever genre that you choose, really look into that genre. Because, like, let's say you're writing sci-fi,
hmm
um, you have to have a certain formula throughout that book, knowing that, knowing, you know, um, different techniques, whatever genre it is,
yeah.
and understanding that there's the art and then there's the business,
hmm
and understanding that too as well. Um, so you gotta learn your craft. You gotta hone your craft and know the business of that craft, because that's what's going to get you from point A to point B, where someone is actually purchasing your work, purchasing your writing. So, that's what what advice I would give.
I agree. I
Mm-hmm.
really agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And before we, head on out, can you recite another poem for us?
Sure, sure. Since this is Women's History Month,
Yes.
um, I'll do this piece. There's many definitions of what a woman is, and a lot of them aren't good definitions. So this is my definition of what a woman is, and it's called Define You. You fill the spaces in my life like spackling, sweeten the soul like saccharin, taught silence how to speak, made beats out of my heartbeat. Your voice hits waves beyond an immeasurable octave and make my straight lines concave, cause rocks to dissolve and problems to be solved, turn my blues green. Make my life more than what it seems, a dream preserved, not a dream deferred. You are truly what I deserve. You're that state where matter turns to energy, where mathematics becomes symmetry, the after effect, the result of a catalyst, where sex becomes orgasmic, beats become rhythm, thoughts become reason. You are the image after the translation to the brain, meaning without words, the flow after the drop, the flux, the diamond after the rough. You can't be cloned. You own this world. You are the woman after the girl. Make a bum dress to the nines. You can't be confined or defined. You are made to adore. You are in the distance like the moon for one day to be explored. Define you. Define you.
That is so great. Oh my goodness.
Thank
See,
you.
you need to make just one woman's book of poetry because you have a
Good
natural
idea.
uh,
Huh?
a way of making us feel great. Like we can move mountains.
Y'all have,
Yeah, we have. But that is so awesome. Well,
Thank
I
you.
just adore you, and I can't wait to see what you have coming up next because I know you're coming out to the arts and authors because you're on my team,
Definitely.
and I can't wait to see how this year plays out.
Yeah.
But and I'm talking about with as far as with the entertainment, with the authors, we have a people that have already signed up for, as authors and artists. And
Hmm.
I just can't wait to see what the entertainment is going to, what entertainers we're going to have this year. But where can we find your work?
Yes.
And we will have the links at the bottom as well. But where you let us know.
Yes, you can find my work at my very own website, James C as in cat, Ellerbe, that's ELLERBE.com. And I'm also the founder, I forgot to mention this,
Okay.
of New Jersey Poetry Events.com.
Yes.
It's your source for everything poetry in New Jersey from North, Middle, and South. So definitely check that out. I
Yes.
constantly update that regularly. So,
Now,
um,
how can someone be a part of that? Like, I know you have some ways for people to input their information.
yes, right from the website.
Okay.
There's a submission link right on the website. You just click the submission link. There's a form there, and then it has my email where you can email the flyer, so I can post that up as well.
So,
So,
yes, and that's really a nice website to have because, and I know you have put my information on there, and we've and this is something that a lot of our authors and artists can be a part of because your information spreads through, like, what counties and what cities do yours cover?
all over, all over
All
Jersey,
okay.
all over Jersey. It's not, um, you have an event, no matter where it is in New Jersey, submit it because I accept all events. Long as it's poetry, yeah, it's
Yes.
and it's New Jersey, it's gonna go on there. So it
So
doesn't
I
matter
think
what.
can benefit a lot of the authors and artists that watch the show and that are a part of the Arts and Authors Extravaganza. So I thank you for that information, and I will be listing that here so that they can be a part of it as well. And
Definitely.
um, I thank you so much for coming on. I thank you for reciting some of your poetry. We're going to also list where we can purchase your CD
Hmm.
uh, because people have to hear it because it's really an awesome CD.
Thank you, thank
You're
you.
welcome. And I just want to let everyone know that this is a bi weekly show. It's every other Monday, but we had this special edition tonight because we had to get James on here. Um, but Monday, we are going to have Derek Phillips. He's going to be attending the show at 7 p.m. on Monday. And then the following Monday, we'll have someone else. But um, I just want everyone to know, remember to subscribe, like, and comment on the YouTube channel because we want to hear from some more of our interesting authors and artists. We want to get to know them, and that's a way for us to do so. So please subscribe at the bottom, and so that you can catch the future shows, and also go back and see some of the last shows too, because there's some interesting and phenomenal people that we have had on the show so far. But I thank you once again. I thank you all for listening, and we will see you again on Monday. So let's see here. So, um, actually, you know what? Before we go out, James, do you have
Hmm.
any last words for us?
Um, well, I would just say, just like my mantra, um, find a way through words. Always find a way through words.
Yes, and that's some very good advice. Very good advice. But I thank you so much once again, and I thank you all for listening. Have a very good evening.
You too.